Hello, this is David D. Rob on the overview, and I will be going over my season 7 Seal League play. This is my first like deck breakdown or anything, so if it's not that good, I'm glad you listened all the way. If it is good, we'll hopefully have more to come. So real quick, just to give you an overview of my season, the week one I went 0-2. I played Thanos and I lost to Gamora, Keith Gamora. Week two, I played Vern. I won 2-0. I used Thanos again, and he had Wolverine. And then game three, I played Steve. He had Groot, and I played Gamora for week three. So let me come to how I came to my pool and kind of a little quick overview of the game. Try to make this short and sweet. So these are the MCs I had in my pool: Hulk, Professor X, Gamora, Green Goblin. Well, you can read it. Okay, so looking over this, I kind of, see, eliminate who I don't. I mean, I prefer not to play Loki, but I like, okay, well, the next thing I need to determine what locations I have, and that will help me determine what MC I had. So once I look at my locations, I notice I have 8 rares. What's in the seal format, you can play all your cards, even if it's more than four. And the other thing is your deck is only 40 cards, so you'll begin to your cards a lot faster with it being a smaller deck. So I see I have 8 locations, but the downside is, so I'm like, okay, maybe Loki. So I had to look at the plot twist of that. But with Gamora, I mean, I could constantly power her up as long as I'm stunning people. And then, I'm looking at my combinations. I got at least one of each color. I got 4 votes. So if I want to kind of gauntlet somebody with Thanos, that's in my mind when I first built this deck. That was a possibility. But not having no Avengers Master in the school, that kind of eliminate Professor X and Hulk because I don't want to level up and be stuck without location. So right now at this point, I'm leaning towards Gamora, but Thanos is in the back end. Loki maybe, but let's look at the plot twist to come to that determination. So then looking at my plot twist here, I only have like 6 generics and 2 supervillains. So I don't think I had enough in here for Loki. I know I could try to throw some other team and cycle them, but I just feel it wasn't worth it. So I was leaning towards Gamora. So I'm like, okay, if I could get some good low cards to go with her on team, I can maybe get some quick suns and maybe even get to the God Slaying Blade. And then with Thanos, I'm like, he Thanos. So hopefully, with the greens and keeping him pumped, I could or even with a couple things again, if I run Avenge, I may be able to get to a level 2 and maybe try to gauntlet glove somebody. So that was my goal with the first week game. So let's finally go to the support characters. So with the support characters, you see, I didn't have very few supervillain. And with Guardians, I didn't have no good low cost, but I did have Charlie 27, where he gonna hit anybody as long as the combat don't get canceled. And then the biggest problem with my seal pool that I knew were gonna hinder me, I didn't have no 8 drops. No, my biggest person is Hulk with 2, and I had Jax, but I didn't really have no big attackers. So I decided, okay, I think I'm gonna go with Thanos the first game, just to try to get the Gauntlet Glove going, and then as a backup, if I see week one that's just not a thing, I'll just switch over to Gamora. The thing about Seal, since you don't get to practice with this deck before you play, you learn a lot on the fly. So after week one, you may see something, you'll make your changes from there. So week one, I went with a Thanos with an intensive to run the Gauntlet. So I ran like 20 location was that's like half the deck. And then I had all the supervillain besides Loki to help stun people. I also ran like a couple Avengers. I had like Drax Beast for the Ferocious because Ferocious is gonna be great in this format. I had Colossus because I had 8 reds, so for Colossus' ability to go off, anybody who had a red ability with only Mystique and Colossus, they were definitely gonna always be in my deck. And of course Black Widow for the minuses and Ant-Man to hopefully maybe shrink some people. But so after game one, I quickly learned this with these experienced players in this format, they're not gonna let me level, so I'm never gonna get the Gauntlet Glove off. So I changed plans. So after game one, so the other thing about Seal, you allow in between game to switch your cards in your card pool. So I took seven, I took 7 locations out with mostly all of my location. I replaced with a bunch of low cards because I noticed how good Thanos' green ability was, where if I could shuffle a support character back into my deck and get the +1s, and on top of that, with them being low cost, I could flood the field, they'll die. I put them back in my deck, and I'll probably get them again with a 40 card deck. You see in your cards a lot more often. So the second game went bad, but with him playing with Gamora and having like even the odds and thing that just take the counters off, I think he had like 2 to 3 at least even the odds. So every time I did get Thanos big, he was able to knock them off and then just go ahead and get the stuns on me. So I mean, I don't think no matter how I built the deck, I would have lost to Keith in round one. So, but in round two, I got Vern with his Wolverine deck. So now we're like, okay, forget about the Gauntlet. I definitely know Vern not letting me level early game where we're gonna make a difference to Gauntlet him. So I went with all the low cost. So I had the Falcon, the Ant Man, the Black Widow, Hawkeye. I went with all the events just so I could play on that plot twist. So with the events in there, that gave me access to Earth Mice and 2 Think Agains, and then I super villains, and then I had like Iceman, Cover Star, and then of course Charlie because I had 4 greens. So even if I didn't use it on Thanos, Charlie gonna get the stun when he pays the green. So with those games, I mean, from the first game he played with Wolverine that went up to level 3. So the first game he was able to get Wolverine to level 3, but once Thanos got the counter, he had no answer for counter removal. So I think I had 9 counters on Thanos, and he just couldn't get big enough to hit him. So I was able to win the first game. The second game, it was much of the same thing, but I did level that game surprisingly. Now, well, I leveled the week one second game like the last turn, which didn't make a difference. But this game, I leveled again, and Vern's sent a team attack to try to take me down, what he did, but it was also Wolverine last wound because he thought he had 7, but he was still on level 3. So I was able to go 2-1 that week. And then the final week, I like, you know what? I'm gonna change up, play Gamora, just to see if she had game. And plus, with a little bit of scouting and seeing what was posted on the seal board, I kind of came to the conclusion that Steve was gonna be playing Groot. So I like, well, Gamora could hit Groot and get some and level up because I didn't think against other XPs he'll be able to level up without enough small cost guardians. So when I played against Groot, I was able to stun, and like I said, with 7 reds in the deck, I was constantly putting 2+1s on Gamora. So I don't think in the first game she was able to get stunned. So, but the second game he did. So I went 2-1 there. So the second game I ended up losing because he went first and he just suicide Groot. He kept me from leveling for a while, and Groot was able to get to level 3, was I had no answer for that. And then the last game, I was able to go first. I got a stun on Groot the first turn. He then swung Groot into me for my second experience. I leveled pretty early, and I just had everything with Charlie, with Mystique to able to cover Groot if he did try to pump, with Colossus in there and the Reds, which is not much to do. But that's a brief overview of my seal play. Have any questions? You could watch the game. I'll link them down in the post. And if you know, always can reach out to me. I'm on Facebook and Discord. D Rob, David Robbins. Have any questions, just find me. But thanks for listening. Y'all have a good day.